Thank you for being here. I would typically be doing this in a big event, typically a morning event. However, we wanted to make sure we were reaching more of our community. And that's kind of been a theme of my time here in the superintendent role, to reach out to the community more intentionally so that we can share the good news, but also to gather information. This is our mission statement: strengthening our community, our very diverse community, through excellence in education. And I have shared many times, I'm fully aligned with this because over my, some of you may know now, 45 years in education, I have seen the power of excellent education being provided, not individual students, but then it actually has an impact on the entire family. It changes the trajectory of that family, and in the end, changes the community, whether it be here in North Shore. When I worked in Seattle, I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina, there as well. Absolutely, this is the work of our district, and this is the powerful work that our educators do every day, all members of the North Shore community. And here's North Shore, by the numbers, if you would. And as you can see, we have 34 schools. We also have 4 comprehensive high schools, 6 middle schools, 20 elementary schools, and then some choice programming as well. We're one of the largest districts in the state, as you can see. We have over 1,500 certified staff, and there's probably just as many classified staff working in the district. We are a high-performing district with 95% of our students graduating in 4 years. And as you can see, our general fund is about $444 million. And due to the generous contributions from our community, they have supported us through passing capital projects bonds. At this point, we have $218 million of bond work that's going on within the district. But we are also a very diverse district, and it has been shifting over the last 10 years, as you can see from these numbers. If you could take a look and just study the comparison of what our student demographics was like in 15-16 school year versus 24-25 school year. And I have to say, this, to me, is one of the strengths of the district. The diversity of North Shore is powerful, but it requires us also to take time to get to know our diverse community members, and learn from them how best to serve our students. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. This is another way of looking at the same data graphically. Each vertical bar represents a school year. And as you can see, over the last number of years, the shift is taking. The top part of the bar is our white student demographic. The lower part of the bars are our other diverse communities, and it's just been changing over time. We also have to think about how we provide services to our students. And you see that there has been an increased need to provide services in areas of special education, as well as our multilingual learners as they develop their English language skills, and in other areas. I'd also like to point out, over the last 10 years, we went from 94 different languages spoken in the homes in North Shore to 119. And so that shift is continuing to happen in our community. We are led by a very ambitious 5-year strategic plan. This plan was not developed by the board or by myself. It was actually developed by the community. The board worked with community in lots of different meetings, gather information to inform what is it that our parents and our community want for our students. And as you see, there are 5 goals, with success in the early years, going all the way through making sure when our students leave North Shore, they are ready for lifelong success after graduation. But goal 2 is all about making sure that our students are resilient, respectful, empathetic learners. We have an academic goal. That's that 3rd goal, making sure we are eliminating outcomes and opportunity gaps. And we also have to think about what's coming. Our students have to be prepared for a world that's hard to even imagine right now. And so what I would like to do at this time is just talk about a couple of examples for each of one of these goals. So in goal 1, success in early years, as I've mentioned, North Shore is a high-performing district, but that's built on the fact that we believe our students have foundational skills, such as reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade. It's critically important. And as a result of our educators, our school board, and our voters, we were actually able to implement a new set of instructional materials 3 years ago to teach our students how to read. And each year, we have seen significant improvement in the percentage of students who are reading on grade level, particularly in grades K through 3 and 5th grade. That is also true for the population of students that we know we have not yet served well yet in North Shore. When you look at our data, it's clear that our Latino Hispanic population, we have work to do. That is the largest group of students we haven't served well yet. And so we were really focused on that group. But as we implement this new set of instructional materials, we actually are seeing improved outcomes for them as well. So that's critically important. And goal 2, as I mentioned, responsible, resilient, empathetic learners. This is our social emotional focus work. This is where we're making sure that our students have access to mental health specialists in all of our middle schools, counselors in all of our elementary schools. We have implemented a social emotional survey 2 times a year in grades 3 through 12, just to check in with our students a couple times a year to see how they're doing emotionally. Over the last couple of years, we've really been focused on making sure our schools are welcoming and our students feel that they belong. We've seen an increase, say, from last fall, 76% of our students said that there is at least one adult that they can count on no matter what in our schools. So that was fall of 2023. In the fall of 2024, that number's gone up to 81%. So that's the actual work that's going on within our districts that's producing significant results. But our students are also leading the way in this particular goal. For example, in the upper left here on the screen, Community Serve Day. That's where 2,000 volunteers across our district come together to make sure our schools are ready for the first day of school. Working in the yards and painting parts of our campuses. Our students are involved in that as well. Many students show up to do that work. They also raise funds to support various efforts within the district. In the upper right, that's a Good Acts group from North Creek High School. They actually went out and raised money within the community and then gave it right back to the district to invest in services. During the summer, we had a summer meals program where we served about 300 families. About 1,000 individuals were supported in that way. But it was our kids that got involved there. They did tutoring and provided tennis lessons to raise money to contribute to that initiative. And then they showed up to help actually pack the boxes and deliver the meals to our families. Another example here in the lower left is a kindness jar at Innovation Lab High School, where the students just said, hey, if you need a supportive, kind word, pull something out of the jar anytime. Last year, we had students draft a resolution around kindness within the district. They presented it to the school board and asked the school board to adopt it, that resolution around kindness within our system. And of course, we have the C.P. and Dorothy Johnson Award Program, where we recognize the humanitarian efforts of our students in all of our schools. 2 students from every school are identified and recognized every year for that type of work. Again, our students are leading the way. Goal 3 is our academic goal, making sure we are eliminating outcomes and opportunity gaps. In this particular goal, I want to introduce what we refer to as our key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are among the many measures that we've identified within our strategic plan. As I mentioned, those 5 goals earlier, there are actually 26 measures behind those goals that we're tracking. But of those, we've identified 6 key performance indicators that we want to hold ourselves accountable for and report out on publicly. The first one is one I've already mentioned. At the elementary level, we want to make sure every one of our students are reading on grade level in a 3rd grade. Up through 3rd grade, students are learning to read. But in 4th grade, they need to be able to read to learn and continue to develop reading skills as they go. So we are tracking that data very carefully and reporting on it. And as I mentioned, we see significant improvements over time. Same thing in math. We need to make sure our students have those foundational skills in math by the end of third grade. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Making sure they have grade level fluency in those areas is critically important. So we're reporting out on that data point as well. In middle school, reading on grade level by the end of 8th grade. Again, this is not saying the students aren't able to read, but reading on grade level, particularly being their comprehension skills in nonfiction texts, for example, critically important for them to be set up for success as they go into high school. So we want to track that data set, as well as successfully completing algebra by the end of 8th grade. This particular data point is, again, critically important so that our students are being able to take full advantage of the opportunities in high school. We know that if a student completes algebra in 8th grade, they're more likely to complete 4 years of math in high school, which is, of course, then, in many cases, a college admission requirement. So we want to set our students up for success as early as possible, and that this is one of those data points for that. Also, at the high school level, beyond the 4 years, we're tracking that. And then we also have CADRs, which are our college academic distribution requirements. These are college admission requirements. Making sure our students are getting those credits in, math, science, social studies, language arts, world language, and arts. Now, those data pieces we want to publicly communicate, monitor our increased outcomes for our students, and then hold ourselves accountable for that work as we go forward. Goal 4 is innovative, creative, critical thinkers. And as I mentioned earlier, we are in a time when, from artificial intelligence to climate change, our students need to be able to solve real complex problems. Developing these type of skills is absolutely necessary. But we see that happening in programs like our robotics program. You can, Woodinville and Bothell High School come to mind when I think about that. We have programs such as DECA or ART and project-based learning opportunities for our students across the district, just to name a few. This is, again, an area that we have to continue to focus on, and we will continue to develop out for our students as we go forward. And Goal 5, this is our graduation goal, lifelong success. After graduation requires that we prepare our students for what comes next. We want our students to be prepared to take advantage of any opportunity they have in front of them once they walk across the stage, whether it's going to college or not. And as I mentioned, we have a 95% of our graduation rate currently. Our students earned about $11.7 million worth of scholarships. They're well prepared to take advantage of that when they leave our system. We also want to expand our students' exposure to college-level coursework. We know, as many of you know, we have schools offering international baccalaureate programming, advanced placement programming. We also have college into high school, all of which sets us students up to better be able to take advantage of college if they like, but life in general. Our career and technical education programming is also increasing. Our student participation rates in that have significantly increased. We have about 1,144 students earn some type of career technical education certification last year alone. We've added CTE courseworks such as aerospace manufacturing, core plus type programming, project Lead the Way, engineering, environmental science, biotechnology. Again, career and technical education programming for our students, critically important as we prepared our students to be able to take advantage of whatever they want to do once they walk across the stage of graduation. So again, those were just a couple of examples for each of those 5 goals. But I also want to talk about some other things that are going on in the district. For example, here, you may or may not know that we have the 2025 Washington State Teacher of the Year here in North Shore. Kim Broomer at Ruby Bridges Elementary School. We also have a number of other teachers that have been recognized regionally and nationally for various programming. We have been able to open inclusive playgrounds. This is at Frank Love Elementary School. We actually did a ribbon cutting of the inclusive playground there this year, and we're continuing to add more inclusive playgrounds across the system. But that's only possible as a result of our voters actually contributing or approving the bonds that back in 2022. And talking about bonds and levies, I just want to take a moment to talk about that. So our local levies are critically important for the success of our students. But as you know, we are constantly having to use our levies to backfill for the underfunding that we get from the state. Currently, about a third of our levy goes to providing supports for our students with learning differences and disabilities, the things they need as basic education functions. We also see the need for that within our English language development. We put about $4 million additional levy dollars towards that. Material supplies and operating costs, we're also having to put another $4 million in levy into that. So, as you know, we are doing quite a bit of effort to try to help our local legislators and other individuals down in Olympia understand how critically important it is to increase the funding for K-12 education, and so that we can actually use our levies to enhance educational opportunities for our students. Back in 2022, our voters actually approved a bond effort to improve our learning environments for our students. Currently, as you probably have driven around the district, you see a lot of construction going on. We actually broke ground on 8 different projects across the system. And our community engagement. This is a picture taken during the Community Serve Day at the beginning of this school year. And again, during that event, over 2,000 of our volunteers came out to support and making sure our schools were ready for the first day of school. In North Shore, we have 11,000 volunteers. That's 1 volunteer for every 2 students here. And that's powerful. And that is the work of our community and full support of our schools. And I can't say how proud I am to actually be superintendent of a school district that cares for our kids so much. But our volunteers go beyond that. Our students are incredible. Here are examples of my members of last year's Student Advisory Board. They have helped inform or advise me on a number of things. This particular group of students helped inform some of the budget decisions that we had to do last year. And this current year's group, just as insightful, they are informing some of the information necessary to improve our middle school programming right now, as well as developing a cell phone policy or a smart device policy. They also went with us down to Olympia back in January 27th, the day between semesters, when students did not have to go to class. They went with us to Olympia to talk to all of our local legislators about the impacts of the underfunding of public ed that's happening to them within their own schools and what they're experiencing. But again, as I mentioned earlier on, our diverse community requires that we take the time to listen to our families. So we've been conducting listen and learn tours for the last couple of years, gathering information to inform what we need to do differently to ensure that each and every one of our students are well served. And we've learned a lot, and we've been able to make adjustments as a result of that information that we've been gathering. Hundreds of families have actually come many times into this room and shared with us their knowledge in terms of their cultures and how best to serve their students. And I wanted to end with this one last thing. This is John. John actually left school but came back this past year and wanted to be able to graduate. But he has some challenges in terms of getting there. So one of our exec directors of schools, the principal there, Brian Mathias, the counselor, sat down with John and put together a plan that he worked very hard. He did a full-time job and actually continued to work. And this past fall, he was able to complete his graduation requirements. And as a result, we held a graduation ceremony in this room just for John, because that's what it takes. Each and every one of our students deserve the opportunity to graduate from our schools. And he did the work. We provided the supports and guidance to get it there. And now he's thinking about going on to college. So again, we're supporting him in that effort as well. So that's some of the things going on in North Shore. And I can't tell you enough how proud I am of the work that our educators and all of our staff do every day to support our students.